Alrighty, let's get after a daily trading recap for this 4th of March, 2022. It is Friday today, coming in with a very nice volatility spread trading strategy today on the S&P 500 through the modalities of ES and MES, using MES today for the little bit of margin that I did have. And unfortunate now that NinjaTrader has doubled his margins for volatility reasons. Wusses that I tell him, cutting my profits in half. But that's just the hole that we were in today. That's going to make for a better story in the long run of now clawing myself out of the little deficit that I've put myself into. And now, of course, that they've doubled the margins, that now I can't use the leverage that I want to take the size that I want to, but still obviously running into the points and selections that I was running for coming into today off of that back-tested data that's getting long and short out of the open. Ran into 4 or 5 points immediately in that first minute candle, and I became extremely very tempted to just take off the trade as it was like half of a point away from ticking out here at these like little 2 bottom wiki candles. I can even pull it up on just ES itself here, right around this time frame. Yeah, that we were just looking for 4 points, and I think we were just 41575. I think I needed from what I got filled at, and every just ounce of me from what I've been through of the past month of February and the recent tradings of it have just like the feelings of I don't want to take a loss, and is it actually stopping me out? Am I being rational with this? But I held to the time frame at which I've established coming into this trade, and stuck to that, and very thankful that I did it, and wise enough to see a heck of a lot more downside beyond that. I would have been absolutely pissed at myself if I did take that off early and not let it do the time frame that I came in prepared to do, and seeing for how much more downside it did actually have for the morning session at least. Great little opportunity on that one to secure a nice little consistent, repeatable profit on this Friday. And like I mentioned on Tuesday, I think I'm definitely going to go harder on Friday specifically doing this strategy, giving it that 15-30 minutes from market open, because Friday mornings are just kind of volatile, and market makers establishing their space or their dominance and just figuring everything out before we get to the afternoon or the close of this week of trading. So I think I'm definitely keyed in more so on that, and doing a lot more research as well too on the back end of just in futures themselves, of any opportunities I can scalp for an algorithmic sense of just defining a code program to let it create money for me. So I'm very excited about that. And of course, I'm going to step into more data collection after the conclusion of this video. But that was the ES trade for the day with the max margin that I had the ability for. Cover some dollar volume on the market just for reference for me. $230 billion volume in the NASDAQ as of 8 minutes after the close here. Nicely $385 billion volume. OTC's $2.6 billion volume on the day. It's good to see Tim Rutani in the chat, in the Millionaire chat today. He was incredibly hot on oil and just only up 152K on the day. Nothing. Coming in to just slap us around with numbers like that to show his dominance. Absolutely insane, but great to see him posting comments again there. Yeah, that was it for spread trade for me in the morning. That was really my only real trade. Did take some paper ones and just fooling around with other things. Incredibly impossible to understate how hot oil is right now, especially leading it with INDO. Absolutely underestimated the potential and catalyst of this thing, and seeing that how I did actually get short here. It was paper short, of course, not trying to go against the trend of the hot sector, but just identifying, hey, we're up quite a bit. Seeing we're kind of, I don't want to use that as the basis for the trade of, we're up a lot as the short, but sometimes it is. It's just up too much. But as we're kind of getting double toppy, triple toppy wicks here happening again and getting to that 26 mark, I said, I think it could see a little turn, break to the downside here of VWAP. If it doesn't go red on the day, that's not what I'm trying to play for, but I think we could see maybe closer to $23 price action from this topping action here. Maybe it has some squeeze craziness later, but the time frame that I was trying to play that on was an hour at max of just playing any more break to the downside of VWAP from there. But sure enough, it held VWAP very nicely and just broke to the upside very hard for a new breakout high of day during market hours. A collection, as you can see on the volume chart, where a lot of other people were obviously short on that same thesis, whether from that specific entry where I got in or compiling in from the previous probable top wicks here as well for potential entries on a short there. But what a great lesson to cut losses quickly. These ones that just seem like, they're just up too much. They shouldn't be going this high. This is a crazy low floater, right? I wouldn't be bag holding this for anything, but even at that, of just shorting it because it's up too much is never a great thesis to begin with, but then bag holding because of that initial thesis on your first entry is even worse of a thesis for how deep that's going to get you. A freaking 100% move against you from where I was sitting at. That's pretty unfortunate to be in, and especially on a Friday to end the week like that. So what a great lesson to cut losses quickly again, and a chart to represent that. But just, yeah, what a great visual as well, too. Just a chart to keep in the database, in the mental database for how these things are kind of ABCD holding, of just getting a nice little morning session, holding over VWAP, and then getting closer to the afternoon, continuing to test these level highs, and just a nice, very nice push for that afternoon on INDO, and then, of course, IMPP, so many other these oil tickers, CEI even making a nice little reclaim. Would be definitely interested to keep an eye on those. And I want to relate it to, like, it's almost too late. In the same way, like, as soon as everybody's talking about the hot sector or the hot thing, you know, like it's the NFTs or the Bitcoin, or anytime, like, you're just hearing it from your Uber driver, like, it's just almost too late. Like, that is the almost top of the move there. So, you know, to say the same type of thesis on whatever hot sector is moving in the stock market, maybe we'll play it out. That's just a thought and thesis that was coming to my head of trying to apply those same types of principles. But yeah, I'm definitely focusing a lot more on this algorithmic computer-based trade on the ES and MES future side of it versus stepping into that small cap realm. But yeah, certainly as the opportunity is there, I can't deny or shove that away, or like just not be aware of it for how it's moving. So that was INDO I mentioned. I also was in STAB for a little dip and rip style of trade. This is 17 million floater, American Biopharma. They got a small amount of warrants out. Not a lot of cash left, but they do have a little $50 million shelf from May of 2020. Did not find any real news catalyst for this day, but it's not the most beautiful price action that I want to see or be a part of, but obvious little 92 level hold here, 92 cent level hold here that I wasn't a part of. I think I was still in that spread trader, just kind of cruising around other charts during this time. But sure enough, it gets the move to VWAP, and crazy widespread and just choppy trading, choppy price action. Not the most liquid. I want to double check how many trades it actually did have on the day. 39,000 trades on the day, so not non-existent. But certainly just want to see more beautiful, pristine movement of this thing, and not just it rejecting incredibly hard back down to these levels, but still respecting those levels well enough. So as it is reclaiming 98 here, I was watching that 98 level hold pretty nicely. Thought it was actually going to break to the upside, but sure enough, rejected off of there. And after it did reclaim, get to the upside, I got a little 100 share position, keeping it incredibly small just to be in it and feel that emotion of actual real money in it. And being able to scale out of it as I wanted to. Just taking some off at the break of $1, kind of finding a top here around 104, 105, 106, and then cutting the rest as it dumped under my entry and under VWAP there. Like, I think I made $1. I think it was a 1% trade at best. So just, not terrible, not stupid, but certainly not slam dunk or even a single that I would call that, even if I did take big size on it. But yeah, obviously the real entry for me would have been that 92 cent level area, basing the trade off of that hold, and still being able to sit pretty nicely and selling nicely as well on the reverse side of that into this up move here on that huge volume candle spike. Great indicator for the sell on this specific trade and chart on that one. And then DWAC, I was actually in a little bit of a short position here. I was getting in short around this range. I didn't put an arrow, paper short. Just playing a longer-term fade now on DWAC. I don't know why I have switched sides, but just of that feeling and emotion of trying to get at this thing so many times for longs that, gosh, I think there's just some more downside. I'm not playing the ultimate death for this ticker, but it, I think within a weekly time frame, I think there could be some more pullback to a lower technical range or a lower amount of basing for price to start to reclaim to. So I'll keep an eye on it. It does start to trace a little bit closer to the market now in general, so that may be an indication that it's not just so memey in the sense of that it operates so incredibly differently, or it's just got its own set of rules and parameters. But it does end up following the market a little bit more closely despite today as I was watching price action compared to this. So That could be an indicator if SPY starts ripping again to the upside, then maybe start to cut that short on DWAC because it could just gain the steam. The risk on the upside is far worse if SPY does start to go green and the overall market does start to go green, for the steam that DWAC could accumulate because of that, versus the downside that it just kind of follows along the same thing. There's not going to be a hard sell-off, I don't think, on DWAC, but just maybe a continual slower grinding trend downward for the next few days. That's just what I'm eyeing, of just completely experimental. I'm not incredibly, that's why it's a paper trade. It's not incredibly hard convicted. I definitely don't want to be taking huge size shorting for the margin that I do have on my shorting account for this high priced of a stock. But yeah, just watching it, keeping our wits about us and putting our hand in the fire that way. That is all that I had for the day. Yes, certainly can't, like I said, cannot understate the hotness and beautifulness of the oil sector right now. We're definitely going to keep our perspective opens to watch what these charts do and how the entire sector as a whole starts to move, and what types of tickers in that specific sector want to move along with it, what becomes a leader, what the race ends up becoming in there between INDO, IMPP, all these other oil sector movers. And then just, yeah, in general, I think I'm still maintaining a lot of focus, data collection, and pursuit for this future strategy in the near-term future. So that is currently my focus. That's where I'm at. And that's all I got. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.